Hello, Dot Hackers. Today we will be using 3 programs to turn assets from Steam PC's version of Dothack GU Last Recode from CriWare to CCS to PNG image files. Dothack GU Last Recode uses CriWare to package the game's assets into CPK files, which contain the game's CCS files, which has been widely used since the original PS2 games, and then extract those CCS files into PNG files. We can do this by downloading these 3 programs: CriPakTools, StudioCCS by NC Dyson, and XnConvert. So let's get started. So here we are on GitHub. We're looking at the CriPakTools. Right here in the middle is CriPak GUI. Down below you'll see CriPak GUI .zip, which is 148 kilobytes. We're going to go ahead and download that file. Next up, we'll need StudioCCS by NC Dyson, which looks like this. What you'll want to do is click on the code button right here in the middle and go to download zip. And then last, we will need the XnConvert. At the top, you'll see downloads and purchase. Click on that. It will take you down to the purchase category, but you do not need that. We are not a company. We are an individual. But here you'll see options for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Underneath Windows, you have 2 installers, the Win32-bit and the Win64-bit, depending on your PC. I will be using the zip version. It says zip Win32 and zip Win64-bit. I have a 64-bit, so I need to click on that version there. So once we have done that, here are the 3 zip files. You're going to go ahead and click on those and do extract all. And in doing so, you should have 3 folders. One for CriPakTools, one for StudioCCS, and one for XnConvert. Let's get started by going to CriPakTools. Click on CriPak GUI. Click on File, Open CPK. You're going to have to navigate to your Steam folder. So in my case, I have my Steam on a separate hard drive. I want to go to Steam Apps, Common, look for HackGU, and click on CPK. Here we have all of the Dothack GU CPK files broken up by volumes and also broken up by in-game and the game's desktop. And you'll notice the file size is pretty considerable because the in-game has all the models and textures for all of the areas and fields and root towns, but also has models for every character and also the cutscenes. So hence the difference in file size. So let's click on volume 1 _ A CPK. It's going to have everything listed in a tree type of style where everything's broken out with folders. We're going to click on extract files. Here it wants us to know where you want to dump all this. So we're going to go to a folder I called volume 1 on my downloads. You can put this anywhere you want because we're only going to temporarily use it. Select the folder, and down below you should see a progress bar. Once it's complete, it will notify you. So what it's doing is it's taking all these .ccs files out from the CPK file. So we are done with this program. Now we'll be using StudioCCS by NC Dyson. The executable is not in the root. You will need to go to bin, release, down at the bottom, StudioCCS.exe. Click on that. You will have this little viewer here that looks like a 3D model that's empty. Don't worry about that. We won't be not using that. So we'll go to File, Load CCS, go to the Volume 1 folder. Here we have Dothack Volume 1 _ A CPK unpacked. Now we can extract them. I don't believe we can do by folders. I think we can only do by files. Double check. Yeah, it's only by files, so you will have to go through each folder one by one and select all the CP or the CCS files from each one. I believe we can do more than one. Let's try it out. So what we're doing here is we're just gathering a list of all the CCS files that we want to take. So let's start with that. Go to Scene, Dump to OBJ. Now here it's going to give you the option to choose where you want all these files to go to. So we're going to go to Downloads. We're going to put them in a folder called CCS that we made. It's just a blank folder. We're not going to check any of these options. We're just going to click on Export. And as you see in the little message window below, it's doing its thing until it says Done. Once it says Done, you can go ahead and close that for now. And we're going to use XnConvert. Now, thanks to Dow from the Dothack Discord for recommending this, because previously I used to take all of those CCS files individually into Photoshop and convert them all one by one, and that was a chore. So anyway, we're going to go to our Downloads folder. The StudioCCS, all the files were put into the CCS folder I made on my Downloads folder. So it's got the root still, so we're going to hit Select Folder. And as you can see, you get a little preview of all the textures that were extracted. Now, looks like some of these wallpapers were turned upside down. I don't remember if it fixes it automatically, or there's an option to fix it yourself. Anywho, so that is the tab Input on the top of the XnConvert program. So quite a bit there. Over here in Output, you can choose the destination you want. I have made a folder in my Downloads folder called Game. We're going to keep the file name and results. We're going to change the format to make sure it says PNG. And then over here by default, it's kept on Keep Folder Structure, but I'm going to turn that off. And then down below, Convert. And if it runs into files with the same name, it's going to ask you, do you want to overwrite, yes or no? And this is quite common with files that have English, French, or German languages. So we're just going to hit yes to all for now. I'm not sure which one it's going to pick. It's probably going to be English or German. I doubt it'll be French because that's in the middle. So it's either going to do the top or the bottom. Oh, also, if a file in a folder also matches the name of a different file in a different folder, that could also be why as well. All right, so we are done. Close. Going to go to our downloads, go to our game folder, and here we go. It looks like the images were kept upside down. So that is something you should be able to fix in fine-tuning some settings. But otherwise, here we have all the textures in the game, also some images, and these are actually right side up. These look like the images from the arena battles that you see up on the little screens floating around. And this looks like the scoreboards that you see when you're in the root town. That's always scrolling with some data. Here you got some fuzzy looking cutscene images. Some images of some real world locations. Some of these are effects from the game. Here we got some text from the game. This one is both English and Japanese. So going back again, I didn't keep the folder structure when I exported from CCS to PNG. I just threw everything into one folder. But if I were to retain the folder structure, these would be separated by language. Some thumbnails, which are upside down. Again, that can be fine-tuned either individually or in the settings when you're doing the exporting. And here we have some lucky animals. Lucky animals such as, let's see, that's Slifnir upside down for sure. But overall, you can get pretty much all the assets out of the game and made into PNG files for your perusal. Another reason why this is pretty useful is if you're into fan art and you want to, let's say, get the colors from these images, or you're into cosplay and you also want to get the colors to be more accurate. So whatever reason you may have, maybe you're just into game designing and you want to see how games are put together and taken apart. This is a nifty way of doing so. But like I said, whatever your reason may be, this is a way you can go ahead and pull up all this information. However, I do not recommend ever using these assets into your own game directly. That would be copyright infringement, and they would probably come after you for that because they have a right to protect their property. So definitely don't do it for that reason. But whatever reason you may have, whether it's accuracy, lore, information, resources, you're just curious of what some of these things may have said, this is a quick and easy way of doing so by using CriPakTools, StudioCCS, and XnConvert to pretty much pull up everything from the game. And like I said, this is just from Volume 1, and I didn't even pull everything from Volume 1. You can go back in there and start pulling more out. But there you go. That is my tutorial. Please be sure to join us on the Dothack Discord, where we discuss this type of information, where some of our users have pretty much gone above and beyond and pulling up the data from the games. Especially right now, we have people working on IMOQ, trying to understand it, how it functions, how things are pulled and moved around. But it's pretty interesting to read. And if you have any questions, be sure to ask us, and we'll be able to help you in the process. And let's say maybe you're trying to do VR chat and you need some resources to patch together your own original character. I mean, the models are here for character datas. So definitely something to be looking out forward to. And if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And like the video and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And thank you for watching.